Take a Timeout with Dustin Sullivan, a production of the KanDuGroup. KanDuGroup is a 501c3 nonprofit provider of services for adults with developmental disabilities and is pleased to bring you this podcast. Today, Dustin's guest is Judd Lutz. Judd is a 2006 graduate of Tiffin Columbian High School and 2010 graduate of Mount Union University. He was an all-state athlete in football and track and field, then continued his athletic career at Mount Union, participating in football and track and field. Judd achieved All-American honors in football and track and field, was a 2009 Gagliardi, I don't know how to say that, trophy finalist, and a member of 2 national championship football teams at Mount Union. Following his collegiate career, Coach Lutz served as an assistant coach at Avon High School from 2010 to 2015. He was hired as the head coach at his alma mater in 2016 and is entering his 7th season in this position. Coach Lutz was recognized at the 2018 Division III District Coach as Division III District Coach of the Year in 2018. So,
did you write this? I didn't write this. Somebody did some research.
We have a trivia question of the week in honor of today's guest beginning his coaching career in Avon, Ohio. Our trivia question is, the state of Ohio's southern border is lined by the Ohio River, and its northern border is lined by Lake Erie. Ohio has how many miles of coastline along Lake Erie? And we will bring you the answer to this week's trivia question later in the podcast. So now let's turn the mic over to Dustin Sullivan.
Are you ready, Judd Lutz?
I'm ready.
Where were you born and raised in the Tiffin? Were you born and raised in the Tiffin area?
Yep, I was born and raised in Bloomville, Ohio, so just outside Tiffin. Yeah, and my parents still live in that house. It's a lot different. They fixed it up over the years, but so I've been in the area for a long time.
That's cool. What made you decide to commit to Mount Union?
Back when I was finishing up high school and entering kind of my senior year, I was looking at a couple places, and I was really lucky to visit some really great schools and form some good relationships. And a guy by the name of Matt Campbell, he's now the head coach at Iowa State.
I've heard of him.
He's pretty good.
Wasn't he at Toledo for a while?
He was the head coach at Toledo. Before that, he went to Mount Union and coached at Mount Union. He kind of recruited me to Mount Union. It was a place that I knew I could do football and track. And so that was kind of unique. And it's ultimately kind of why I went.
He was a legend in Toledo.
He's pretty good.
Don't tell Judd, don't tell Scott this, but Mount Union's a great school.
It is a great school. And Heidelberg's pretty great too. I'm a Heidelberg fan, and Coach Donaldson and I are really good friends, and a ton of respect. I tell him I root for him every single game, and there's one I don't root against, I just don't root for.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Character too.
Yes, he is.
What kind of things were fun to do in Mount Union?
I mean, when you're playing 2 sports, really 3 sports, because like track, I had to do indoor track, outdoor track, and football. And I was getting my teaching degree. And when I went there, my dad made it pretty evident I wasn't going to be on a 5 or 6 year plan. I needed to get out there in 4. So what was fun was competing and working out and forming some good relationships with a lot of teammates and really the people. There's cool things the campus provides for sure, but really it's the experiences. And I enjoyed a lot of it.
That's a lot of tough work doing all the sports.
Yeah.
You gotta be really good at it too. And sometimes it can be challenging.
For sure.
After graduating college, did you go directly into coaching at Avon High School?
I did. I was graduating. I just finished up my track season. Actually, I was runner-up in the country. Should have probably been a national champ in the discus, but I was runner-up. Yeah, not real good. But I had to kind of decide what the next step was. I was pretty sure I wanted to go right into teaching and coaching at the high school level. But there were some other opportunities that were possible. and was mulling those over, but ultimately I was really blessed to get a full-time teaching job, teaching high school math, and then coaching as well in some aspects at Avon High School, which I knew very little about at the time, and got to know a little bit about it and accepted the position, and was really blessed to have 6 really great years there with some great people and a really cool city.
It's a great place. I know people that live there.
Yeah.
It's
really
near Cleveland, right?
Yep, on the west side of Cleveland, not far from the lake, not far from downtown Cleveland. And at the time, kind of had a small town atmosphere a little bit, but it was still up and growing, and just, it's been 7 years ago now that I moved. So when we go back, my wife and I, because we were both living there for a little bit before we moved back here, it's still changing. It's just growing really, really fast as a suburb.
Oh, and the Eagles and a great place, restaurant to eat at.
There's a lot of really good restaurants there.
Since we're talking about Avon, Ohio a little bit right here, I'm just gonna throw in the answer to that trivia question.
Yeah.
There is 312 miles. The Lake Erie coastline extends from Toledo in the northwest to Conneaut in the northeast.
Is that on the other side of Cleveland? Or
Conneaut must be the far, far northeast
Yeah.
place of
Never heard of it.
Ohio.
Furthest city in the northeast corner.
Yeah. So, the burning question,
So how did you end up back in Tiffin, Ohio?
Long story short, my wife and I had just had our first kid. We had just bought our first house because we kind of liked being in Avon. It was a great location. It was halfway for both our families. Her family was from Canton. Our family is still in town here in the Bloomfield-Tiffin area. So it was kind of a great halfway point. So we decided we're going to settle here for a little bit. We really liked it. And then my alma mater, Columbian High School's football job opened up. And I wanted to be a high school head coach. My wife knew that. The coach I was working under, he knew that. It was a goal of mine. And so being just a couple months into being new parents and owning a new house, I kind of went to her with, hey, I hear this job might be opening up, and thinking she would say, well, we just bought a house, don't even think about it. She was very supportive and said, well, you have to apply. It was a no-brainer to her, and it didn't feel like a slam dunk to me, but I applied and was lucky enough to get the position and move back quickly, and I wouldn't suggest it, but it was a whirlwind there for a little bit, and yeah, we're here.
And you're a dean, so.
And I'm a
I
dean.
mean,
That's right.
That's a principal.
That's right. Yeah, after my first year back, I was a middle school math teacher, and then had all aspirations kind of to get to the high school. I like high school aged kids, obviously coaching them a lot, but also familiar with middle school aged kids too. I did some middle school coaching. And then this dean of students position opened up. I was lucky enough to kind of have some interest mutually by me and the people hiring, and that's my position. That's been that ever since.
You gotta be a special kind of person to be a principal.
Or crazy. Yeah, or crazy.
I would be a fun challenge.
It is.
To be a principal.
It is challenging in a good way. Get to work with teachers and also work with students, and again, try to have everyone have a great experience. Ultimately, you want your teachers to have a great experience coming to work every day. You want your students to have a great experience coming to learn every day. There's a lot of challenges in between, but it's very.
So it kind of helps out on the football field too.
It does. Absolutely does. I think football can bring a lot of people together within a community and school system, and so I get to see it from all aspects.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What were all the sports you played growing up?
Growing up, I played just about anything. I was really blessed to have some parents who kind of pushed me into doing whatever I wanted to, and then having a lot of close friends who were really active in sports. And so my favorite sport growing up was whatever sport I was kind of involved in. I played baseball. I did, tackle football the moment that I could. I loved basketball. My first love and sport that I thought I was going to do for a long time was actually basketball. And I played basketball clear through high school, did basketball and track and football. But as your body changes and your experiences change, your interests change too. And ultimately kind of landed on obviously the football and also track thing for a little bit longer.
That was cool how you say your parents were.
Yeah.
That's the kind of parents you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Caring
Great models.
parents.
Yeah.
If you could pick a favorite sports role model, who would it be?
My favorite sports role model. Wow. you know, I had idols kind of growing up. I was a big Indians, now Guardians fan. And the Browns were like in that lull, like I hear about when they were good, but I was like an infant. I don't remember that real well. And then by the time I got to those formal years, they weren't there. So like my football heroes were like Ohio State players. So like, you know, I didn't get to, you know, I don't know if you remember the name, Andy Katzenmoyer.
Andy Katzenmoyer.
Yeah, the
He was a
big cat.
defensive guy.
Yeah, linebacker. Like
He was a beast.
He was. And guys like Eddie George, obviously, you know, but baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. I thought that guy was the coolest, smoothest guy ever.
He was the greatest Reds center fielder ever.
You think so?
There were some good ones.
He was top notch.
The Guardians, that used to be, that's a fun rivalry.
Yeah.
Reds Guardians.
That's right. And I got a buddy who's a big Reds fan, so I like to poke fun anytime the Guardians get the best.
You guys have been better than us the last decade.
Yeah, we got a good run.
We see you have been a coach in both football and track. Are you still coaching in both sports?
I have not coached track and field since coming back to Tiffin. My wife is actually a former softball player and softball coach for a long time. And so when we moved back, in her first 2 years being back, I was a football coach. She was actually an assistant softball coach. And then our family started to grow a little bit, and she's kind of had to take a back seat to kind of staying at home and not getting to coach as much, which I know she's frustrated with, but wants to get back into eventually. Right now she's coaching kids in our house, but eventually she's going to get back into it, and we'll probably have to kind of go to battles as far as, because spring season, you know, she'll be doing softball. It'll be difficult if I can ever get back into track and field, but I would love to. I like it a lot.
John Upland's daughter, Kenzie, was a great track athlete.
Yeah, really good.
One of the best in the country.
She's really good.
Do you still teach a math class?
I don't. I still get to kind of dabble in the math stuff a little bit. Like we hold some tutoring stuff for our athletes and football teams. So anytime there's math questions that come up, I kind of get the math brain going and help them out with that.
Math, not my.
Not your strong
Not
suit?
very good at math.
No.
That's always been something that has always been a struggle for me.
Yeah, it could be different.
We need to change that
Yeah.
teacher part to a
Yeah.
team.
Does being a dean help you in being a better coach on the football field?
I would say they complement each other in a lot of ways, kind of similar. You know, sometimes being a dean, I kind of have three big hats that I wear. I'm in charge of special education services and kind of our student population who have some of those needs and requirements. I get to evaluate teachers and then discipline, meaning when kids kind of step out of line or make a poor choice, I get to coach them up on making a better choice. And obviously a lot of that comes up in football too.
It does. I like that you do a lot for disabilities.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me.
Yeah,
Special education needs to be more thought about.
absolutely. We gotta do the right thing by kids and offer them as many opportunities as we can.
Sweet.
I was informed during this interview that 2009 trophy that you were a finalist for is kind of considered a Heisman sort of level.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So in Division III football, we have what's called the Gagliardi, or Gallardi, depending on how you pronounce it, trophy, and it's kind of like the Division III Heisman Trophy. And so they throw in the aspect of, you know, character and academics and social stuff too, but you got to be a pretty good football player to
So
get
what
that.
position did you play?
So in college, that year I was our starting inside linebacker, so a defensive primary player. But earlier in my career in college, I also got to play a little bit of fullback, running back. So again, I was really blessed to have some great experiences on both sides of the football and in college, and learn from some really great coaches and play with some really good teams. 2 national championship teams, and the 2 years we didn't win it, we lost the national championship. So 4 years of some really great teams, great
Yeah.
teammates.
So what
But
position? do you
wait,
play?
hey, he had his
Sorry.
own trivia question and really answered there because
Oh, yeah.
we didn't really know much about that
Yeah,
trivia.
there you
right?
go.
So
I've heard about it before.
You've heard about it? I don't know if a Heidelberg alum has ever won That would be a good question to check in
Yeah,
on Cook
curious.
Downs.
Maybe I can ask my cousin, maybe he'd know.
Yeah.
Possibly. Do you have any life motto or quote to inspire your players on the football field?
Life mottos or
Yeah.
quotes? I'd say we got a lot of quotes, some that I can't say in this podcast probably. But, you know, we have.
An inspiring one.
Inspiring thing, you know,
Inspiring one.
you know, ever since I came back and took over the head coaching job, I prided our football program on building great men. And we have 4 pillars that we really say hold that mission statement up, and that's love, discipline, respect, and relentless. 4 big words that mean a lot to our program, and they're actually on my license plate. My wife treated me one year by giving me a personalized license plate, you know, so it says LDRR, and that's kind of what our program is all about. Those 4 pillars.
I like the relentless thing.
Relentless, right?
Don't let anybody tear you apart,
That's right.
take you down. Do you have any pregame meal you eat to bring good luck?
You know, I have a lot of my assistant coaches,
Yeah.
very superstitious. Like I have a guy on staff who eats the same sub from Subway as long as we won the previous game. So like, we lost our first game this year.
So
we
he
had
switches
a
his up.
specific sub. So he, the next week had a different sub and we won. So he's eating that same sub on game day again and we won. So he's gonna eat that same sub as long as we keep winning.
So what kind of sub was it?
What did he's got chicken teriyaki, yeah, he went chicken bacon ranch, chicken teriyaki.
Chicken teriyaki is the winner.
Yeah, that's the winner right now, so he's right. So me personally, I try to be consciously unsuperstitious. Like I don't wanna know what I wore the previous game or ate or anything on purpose.
So you don't think luck's a real thing?
No, I think you make your own luck. Now the ball bounce, I mean, this is a math brain on me, ready? The shape of a football, it's not a sphere.
Yeah.
The geometrical shape, kind of proper name is an oblate spheroid. And it doesn't bounce, no. So an oblate spheroid, it doesn't bounce, you know, any specific way.
Because I have to sit in a certain spot and eat a certain thing and have a certain drink.
Every game day? For luck? Try?
And ring a Buckeye bell.
And ring. So I used to, as a kid, be really superstitious. If I was watching like an Ohio State football game or Duke basketball, those are my 2 big teams, I would change seats if things started to go bad. And I would change TVs. I would go into a different room.
I used to mute the TV.
You mute the TV?
I think it helped.
Yeah.
I sent my boyfriend home during halftime at the Ohio State game this
Bad
Saturday
luck.
because it was not working. It was like, go home.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get his luck. And hey, it changed.
He might not be able to watch the next game at all.
Well, no, he brought it up. He goes, you know, the last time I was here, Ohio State lost because it was against Oregon. And I was like, oh, okay. So when at halftime we weren't doing well, I was like, okay, you can go home.
You have to go.
Good choices and
Anyway, right? By any means necessary.
good choices in basketball schools.
And his dad, I guess they kicked him out during the defensive plays. Is that what it was? Your dad?
During a baseball game once.
Oh, okay.
Great choices of basketball teams.
Yeah?
Duke has the greatest basketball coach ever lived.
You think so? So last year was his last year, you know that? They have a new head coach now. But, we'll
What's
see.
the new coach in
Shire. He's
Oh, yeah, I know who that
Coach
is.
Shire. Yeah, he
Didn't
played-
John Shire used to be the Ohio State or something?
I think he's a Tupelo.
I think you're right. What has been your most memorable game your entire life? In your
Wow.
entire life?
My most memorable game my entire life. Playing or coaching?
Either or.
Either.
Either?
Something that just pops in your head.
Stumped you.
I would say a couple years ago, we were really lucky to, during COVID, sadly, in 2020, we won some home playoff games on a stretch. And there was one crazy game that we came from behind and won. That was really memorable against Revere High School. And then we won the regional championship at home in front of our own fans. And there wasn't a ton of our own fans because they weren't allowed in there, but there was a ton of people on the hill. And to see that, and we've never won at Columbian High School, we've never won a regional championship to go to the Final Four, so that was kind of cool to do at home, and something that probably will never be done again.
Never know.
Yeah.
Don't ever
As
give
far
up.
as winning at home, I hope we win more regional championships, but doing it at home in front of our own fans was pretty
Don't ever give up. I could see you guys winning it.
I hope so.
All someday.
I appreciate that.
I'm throwing in a fact of the week.
Okay.
Did you know, and this is a very weird fact of the week,
It's for you.
cats have fewer toes on their back paws. Like most four-legged mammals, cats have 5 toes on the front, but their back paws only have 4 toes. Scientists think the 4-toed back paws might help them run faster, but they can't outrun tornadoes.
But, now, is that all cats? Does that include tigers and lions? Weird, I was just at the zoo with my family.
I'm assuming it says scientists think the 4-toed back paws.
So like cheetahs? Do cheetahs only have 4? So if I want to run
4
faster, do I need to get rid of a pinky toe or something?
Cut the big one.
I don't think the big, that's the.
We need that job.
We need that toe.
I think balance or something.
No
might
wonder
be
cats
it.
were always. If you could, I'm trying not to laugh. If you could be any supervillain, who would you be?
A super villain. I just
Super
thought-
villain. So
Yeah.
not-
A super
oh,
villain. Yeah, I thought this was a horrible question. It was hard for me.
Man, super villain. I want.
Kind of make it difficult.
Does Dr. Evil, does he count as a super villain?
I would
Like
think
the
so.
Austin
I
Powers
would think so.
movies?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
Dr. Evil? I think he's pretty good.
I would like to be the Joker,
I was gonna say the joke. I mean, he's pretty
because
popular.
he's hilarious.
I want to be the sidekick Kronk in
First
the
new group.
Emperor's New Groove.
Uh,
That weird guy?
Yes.
Yes, he's so funny.
That's a
So,
good one.
yeah.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor of all time?
There's an ice cream place in the Cleveland area called Mitchell's.
Mitchell's.
I've heard of that.
And they have a black raspberry chocolate chunk.
Oh, I love Mitchell's.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, Tiffin's got a good ice cream place.
They have a lot of good ice cream and
Yes.
pizza. If you need either of those,
Yeah.
come to Tiffin. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh,
The
but
best-
What's your favorite? Which place?
Dietz's.
Well, that's in Findlay.
yeah. What about Tiffin?
Hugo's.
Little Hugo's?
Go to Hugo's.
You know, there's gonna be a new place in town, I'm gonna give them a little plug. It's called, used to be Uncle Mike's, now it's gonna be Big Mike's. Should be opening soon, my friend.
Oh, I've been there.
Very
nice.
It's gonna be good. You'll have to come check it out when it opens up.
But if you're in the Cleveland area, Mitchell's ice cream is the best.
I think the best ice cream in Ohio. That might be my opinion, but
Yeah.
probably, what's that place up near the lake? Toff's Ice Cream.
Oh, yeah. When I
Toff's
go,
has
so
good
if I go to
ice cream.
Toff's, I get their peanut butter chocolate chunk or something, peanut butter and chocolate mix. Yes.
I love their Superman ice cream.
Superman?
I don't know why I just always get it.
Okay, we're down to the final question. And Dustin asks this for every interview. So,
This might be the toughest question you've ever heard in your life.
Okay.
Do you consider a hot dog a sandwich, yes or no?
Is hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah.
So I would say, I grew up, you know, I wouldn't say poor, and we weren't rich. So there was oftentimes we didn't have hot dog buns for the hot dogs. So we'd have to slice them and make them into like a patty to put
Yeah.
on a sandwich. So if
Yeah.
you're eating it like that, it's a sandwich. But if it's in a bun of any kind, or oftentimes just a slice of bread, that's not a sandwich.
No. That's what Scott said.
Yeah?
Because you put anything on a hot dog.
So he said it is a sandwich?
Not.
Not a sandwich.
Not a
not a
sandwich.
sandwich.
So if you cut it up like you did, be more like Spam.
Right. Exactly. I like bologna. Like a bologna sandwich. Kind of, but with hot
There you
dog.
go.
There's your,
What do you-
that's your type of Spam.
Yeah, that's right.
You can make your own Spam.
That's right. I didn't ever eat Spam growing up.
A raw
Weird.
hot dog. A raw hot dog was always good too.
You like raw hot dogs?
They're not bad.
One of my daughters eats her hot dogs raw. I have 4 kids. She loves.
I'd rather have them grilled.
I know what you're talking about making a hot dog though, a sandwich
Yeah.
sort of thing. My mom would always slice it down the center long ways
Uh-huh.
and then put it in the pan and fry it actually.
Yeah.
And then it would be in
Yeah.
an actual sandwich, like
Yeah.
2 pieces of bread.
You make do. You make do.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was
Yeah,
awesome.
this was fun.
KanDuGroup provides opportunities and experiences for adults with developmental disabilities. This can only happen with the support of area businesses and community members like you. Thank you. For more information, contact www.kandugroup.org.